talk about the Supreme Court's decision here recently, the 8-1 decision with Ginsberg abstaining, or she was the only dissenting vote, and it had to do with Lexington, Kentucky, where the police got informed that there was a drug deal taking place in an apartment from an informant. So on their way to the apartment, they smelled weed coming from an apartment, and they figured it was the dealer, so they stopped, knocked on the door, and when they heard like a toilet flush or something like that, they thought there was evidence being destroyed, so they kicked in the door and they went in. They found cocaine and marijuana, but it was not the apartment that the informant told them about. The state Supreme Court of Kentucky threw it out because it didn't have a search warrant, but the Supreme Court upheld it.
Threw what out? Threw what out?
Threw out the they threw out the search and seizure because they didn't have a search warrant.
Well, but they went into the wrong apartment.
They went into the wrong apartment.
If they went into the wrong apartment, then what case did they throw out?
But Mike, what I'm telling you is they went in, they arrested these people, even though they didn't have a search warrant.
Were they the right people?
No, they weren't. So the state Supreme Court of Kentucky threw it out, but the Supreme Court upheld it 8-1, which means now they can kick in your door for any reason they feel like. There goes.
Okay, I'm kind of green on this case, but let me see if I can get the facts straight. You're saying the police were in hot pursuit, and they lost sight of the suspect, and he ran into an apartment building.
No.
And they picked out a door.
No.
Okay.
The police had an informant. The informant told them the deal was going down at such and such an apartment. On their way to the apartment, they smelled weed, and they stopped.
Oh.
Yeah. And they stopped, and they knocked on the door, identified themselves as police officers, and the person answered the door, and they heard a toilet flush. Wow, somebody's taking a crap. Well, they forced their way in the door. Guess what Anthony Scalia says? It was the guy's fault for answering the door. They put the fault on the guy who answered the door.
And if he hadn't answered the door, would they then not been allowed to enter legally or illegally, however they entered?
Well, according to the United States Supreme Court, it's okay for them to kick in your door if they hear you rustling around in your house.
As long as they can smell marijuana.
No, if they think evidence is being destroyed.
Right.
Okay, that's the whole thing. If they think evidence is being destroyed, they can kick in your door and come in your house. Now, who's to say they're not going to plant the little vial of cocaine in your house?
Let me get this straight. If evidence is being destroyed, evidence for a crime has to be committed for evidence to be destroyed.
That's right. So how do they know there's a crime being committed?
So what evidence was destroyed at this house?
There was none destroyed. They gathered. They got cocaine and marijuana. Okay.
They found it. They found cocaine and marijuana after they entered
illegally
this apartment.
Illegally.
Okay.
Okay.
And they charged them with possession.
Right, but it was the wrong apartment. Okay.
Right.
And the state Supreme Court threw it out because they didn't have a search warrant for that apartment. But the United States Supreme Court upheld it 8-1, with Ginsberg being the only dissenting vote.
Ruth Bader Ginsberg.
That's right.
The only dissenting vote.
So here you got Sotomayor and this other uppity, whatever her name is, that they were saying she's too liberal. Well, as far as I'm concerned, we have taken another large step to being a police state. Besides that, Mike, if they hear a toilet flushing and they say, well, they're destroying evidence, and they come in the house and they got their own little vial of cocaine because they want to get you, okay? Hello? I mean, how can you prove that it's not
Did
your
they smell
shit?
marijuana?
They smelled marijuana, but how they know it was coming from this guy's place? How they know it wasn't incense? You know
And
what I'm
that's why they
saying?
knocked on the door, because they smelled the marijuana.
Right. So they knocked on the door, and they said they heard noises that sounded like there was evidence being destroyed. Now, that could be anything. Somebody closing a cookie tin, or who the fuck knows, right? Excuse my language. But, I mean, if they hear a toilet flush and they say the evidence is being destroyed, and they kick in the door, you know, and the Supreme Court says, oh, that's okie dokie. Well, there goes the Fourth Amendment.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I mean, to me, it's outrageous. It's a
It's
travesty.
outrageous.
I just wanted to make sure we got all the
It's
facts straight. The police.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's outrageous. This I just heard about it. This just broke like 4 days ago.
Okay.
They made this decision, you know,
Okay.
and I find it absolutely outrageous.
Yeah. Yeah. Because you know, right now in this country, I mean, I'm gonna make a statistic that I've heard several times. Especially Michelle Alexander likes to quote this statistic, and she's wrote several books. She's an author. She's been on talk shows and things, and she likes to quote the statistic that in the early '70s there was less than like 300,000 people in prison in this country, and today we've
Right.
got over 3 million people in prison in this country. And
Yes.
that's not just in jail. Does not count the people in jails or the people on probation or things like that. That's the people in
Yeah.
prison right now. They're over 3 million. And
No, I think it's 30 million, Mike. Because
well, no, it's 3 million.
of our, well, it's 10% of our population.
10% of our population, I think, has got some legal problems, is what it is. But
Oh, okay. Okay, so 1% is locked up. It's the most of any industrialized country.
yeah,
You know, and we're building more prisons. You know, it's insane. It's insane. You know, why in the hell is a guy smoking a joint even in jail?
I don't know. But if you go through a prison population, and I never really have, but I would, this has been offered to me, and I offer it to you, that the people in prison have two things in common. Okay, not everybody in prison has this
They're
in
poor,
common.
right?
Not all
Right.
prisons, but
Illiterate and poor, yes, absolutely.
nation to be poor and stupid in this country. It will put you in prison very quickly.
And also, if you got brown skin, because if you're stupid and you're poor and you're white, you know, your chances of not going to jail are a lot better than if you got brown or
Well,
black
I mean,
skin.
I wouldn't go that direction with it. I would say this, that
Well, I
I know
would.
you would, but let me take it in this direction. Let me say that being black, you probably have a better chance in this country of being uneducated, considered stupid, and poor, just because you're black.
Yes,
So just the blackness
true.
itself may not be the factor so much as just being poor and stupid. Because there are rich
Right.
black people that have stayed out of prison, and one of them was O.J. Simpson. I mean, they did everything they could
Uh,
to keep him out. he, he, he found his way. Tiger Woods.
well,
How about Tiger Woods?
well,
You know,
well, what crime did he commit, though? I mean,
we don't
really?
even know. We'll never know because all we know is that the police came down the driveway to investigate him one day. The police are going to question Tiger Woods, and somebody answers the
Yeah,
door and says, "Mr. Woods is asleep right now. You'll have to come back some other time." So,
yeah, right, right.
but,
Well,
but we
see,
do know
his
that.
crime was he was having extramarital affairs, which is nobody's business as
Well,
far as I'm
well,
concerned.
maybe it isn't.
You
Maybe it
know?
isn't. But somebody came out with a golf club and beat his windows in. He hit three or four. I hit trees,
Uh,
bushes, garbage cans going down the
oh yeah,
street. You
right.
know.
Okay, yeah,
Let
yeah,
me
yeah,
say
right,
this,
right, right,
and
yeah, yeah.
I like to stay out of that business too. I mean, I would say stay out of that business. That's a personal thing. She might have
Yeah.
tore the vehicle up. He owns it, and that's fine. But let me say this: if that had happened in a trailer park, it'd be on the show cops.
Oh, you bet your ass.
Yeah.
You bet your ass.
So,
Yeah.
so you find what you do is you find yourself a liquor store and a trailer park, and you bring in your film crew.
There you go. And if there's a pawn shop in the neighborhood
Hmm.
with a gun shop, man, you just hit the jackpot.
Yeah.
Now, you know, if you go you go to a gated community like Potomac, you know, and they got 2 pounds of cocaine at a senator's party, well, ain't nothing going to happen there.
Yeah, or a college
You know.
campus for that matter. You don't see these cops raids on college
Right.
campuses.
That's right.
There's a certain elitist thing about not going to prison.
Yeah.
But if you look at these shows like on MSNBC, right, where they show these prisons and they show these jails and people, the prisoners coming in. I mean, they've got some fabulous facilities, and they're very well staffed. They got lots of people there. They got nice uniforms on.
Yeah.
They'll kill you with kindness and self-righteousness.
Yeah.
But the bottom line is, these are huge facilities. They're processing facilities. They're processing people for mostly petty crimes, and they're huge. And let me finish this point. The point is that they need people to come into these things to justify all this expense.
Yes, they do. I got a little quick story for you. My first, when I left DC with Leo as an electrician, heading west to go to work, and I drove all the way from Owens Mill, Maryland, or Shadyside, Maryland, to Amarillo. Okay, but on the way, I guess it was like mid-morning. We were seeing the Mississippi River, and we were running through Tennessee. Okay, and I didn't think about it, but Leo brought it up because he goes, "Hey man, that cop over there gave us a hard look," and I said, "The Mississippi River's right there. We're gonna be out of this state in a minute." Well, we fit the drug profile. I had long hair and a beard. He had short hair, horn-rimmed glasses, conservative-looking guy. We had a poncho over our stuff in the back. The car was lowered, red Mustang. Well, before you know it, there's cops behind me, pulling me over, And you know how, you've been up for so long, you kind of get this giddy thing, where you're laughing,
Okay.
Well, so this cop pulls us over, and he gets out of the car, and he goes, "Would the driver of the car please step to the rear of the car?" And I started laughing. I looked, and this guy looked like Barney Fife. He looked like Barney Fife. And I was laughing like tears coming out of my eyes, man. So I stepped to the rear of the car, and I'm laughing. Ah! And this guy goes, "You think that's funny, huh, boy?" And that just made me laugh even harder, right?
Yeah.
So the guy throws me in the back of his car, and he's running me down, all this, give me license. And long and short of it is, they called in the canines, man. They called in, there's 4 units around the car. And Leo said he was afraid to pull his arm in the thing because the dog was sitting there looking at him. He didn't know if the dog was going to bite his face off or what.
Yeah. So
here we're unloading the car, right? And we didn't have nothing in the car. We didn't have no weapons, no drugs, nothing, So we take everything out of the car, and finally, the guy goes, "Where you boys going?" And Leo said, "Well, we're going to Colorado to build a prison." And they said, "Well, why didn't you say so?" Just like that. Just like that. "Well, why didn't you say so?" Then we were buddies, They didn't help us put nothing back in the car, But just before we left, the guy goes, "Now y'all take it easy now." And I said, "Would you like to see my Elvis Presley impersonation?" And you could see the Graceland exit from where we were.
Yeah.
And the guy gave me this look, and he said, "All right." And I put the seat back, and I went like this, man. And that cop he thought that was the worst thing I could do. And right about then, I hit the gas and took off. "Hey!" And Leo goes, "Are you trying to get us killed,
Well,
man?"
I said earlier, prison is for 2 types of people.
But I mean, their whole demeanor changed. I mean, they were ready to shoot us. They were ready to shoot us, man. Until we told them we was out to build prisons.
Yeah. And I guess that's a good thing.
And that was 92. That was in '92. So imagine what it's like now.
I swear. Well, we're seeing that,
You know.
just to be serious about it. I mean, we talk about a military industrial complex. We talk about a healthcare industrial complex, right? There is a prison industrial complex out there that's either in place or is developing or it's going to get bigger and stronger. It doesn't show any signs of losing energy anytime soon.
No, and I think it goes hand in hand with the military industrial complex because now you got this private army in Blackwater or Z or whoever they are
Yeah,
that are like 250,000 strong, Michael.
yeah.
And most of them are foreign nationals. You know, they hire them from South America and Africa, and you know these guys are killers, man. Just purity killers.
Yeah,
They're like
yeah.
they're like and they've got a base now. They got a base in Georgia. They've got a base in San Diego, and they've got one up near the Canadian border. Now, why do they have all the borders covered?
Why do they have bases? Why would a private army have a base in this country?
Thank you. I don't know, but taxpayer money's funding them.
That's
And
really that's the outrageous part of it right there is taxpayer money is funding this.
And also, they're not prosecutable. I mean, you've had them incidents where they've, the video came out of them guys over there, doing all this outrageous stuff. And, that would have been war profiteering, in any other age. It would have been a folly, it would have been fraud. But these guys, they kill with impunity, and they kill Iraqis or Afghans, just innocent citizens, and they get away with it. This is not a land of laws anymore. This is a land of men. And, this is the thing that really upsets me about Obama, because he's supposed to be a constitutional scholar, and he's supposed to protect the Constitution, more than the people involved.
Okay,
and
now
he's not doing it.
If we want to get off the subject a little bit and talk about Obama, then what do you think of what he said to the little exchange that him and Netanyahu had the other day at the White House? And we're filling the blanks on that.
I'll tell you what I think. I think that Obama it's apparent now. It's obvious to anybody who's got eyes and ears that his base has turned their back on him. Okay, because he has turned his back on them. And I think it's all for show. I think this Osama bin Laden fraud, this little vaudeville show that they put on for us, is part of that. He's trying to show, well, I'm the commander in chief, and I'm doing all this stuff for you.
Well, basically, he said that Israel should shrink back to their 1967 borders.
Yeah, but that, yeah, so what? I mean, you think Israel's going to comply?
So that's going to probably cost him conservatively 100,000 votes in Florida and New York City.
Yeah,
each. So it's what? It wasn't a politically expedient thing to say at all.
Well, that's because he's trying. There's enough of an outrage out there. You got Jimmy Carter wrote a book about its apartheid in Israel.
Yeah.
You got Noam Chomsky and every intellectual scholar, professor of political science is out there saying that Israel is wrong, and that's his base. All he's doing is trying to appeal to his base. That's all he's doing, okay? Because he realizes he's losing it. I mean, there's people now saying that they want, Russ Feingold and Howard Dean or Dennis Kucinich ticket to run against Obama.
Well, in the meantime, Netanyahu, he saw the speech ahead of time, and he told Barack Obama he did not want that line in the speech. But Barack Obama said it anyway. And he still met with him, and he told him right there on national television that Israel is not going to give up anything.
Well,
so it's almost like he set up a confrontation.
Yeah. Well, listen, Obama knew what Yahoo's reaction was going to be, Okay, and the Israelis have been holding something over the U.S. for a long time, man. They're blackmailing the U.S., and I think it has a lot to do with the USS Liberty, and maybe some activity in Vietnam that we haven't found out that they lied to us about, that Israel does know about, because Israel's been spying on the U.S. They probably have a lot of information on their covert activities.
Well, that might be true too, but there's at least some of the reason that we support Israel so strongly is that we don't want Russia to get a foothold there, especially back in the days of the Cold War, when a lot of Jews did come from Russia and repopulated.
Okay,
Israel.
But Mike, also keep this in mind too. You just had a massive revolution in the Arab world, Egypt,
We're
Yemen,
still having
Jordan.
It's still in progress.
And it's still in progress. So, who do we want to align ourselves with right now? Think about that.
Who wants to align with us?
Who wants to align with us? But who do we want to appear like we're aligning ourselves with? The Muslim world? Or do we want to take a stance with Israel, which is completely out? Their position is outrageously wrong. They have become the Nazis that they hate so much.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, there's definitely problems there.
And when I say that to people, they go, oh, you must be anti-Semite. No, I just tell it like I see it. When you're keeping an entire population of people from fresh water, good food, building materials, health care, medical equipment, yeah, you've isolated them. It's that whole country they've turned into a concentration camp. And anybody that says anything against them, they try to use this anti-Semite thing. Look, man, I don't hate anybody, but I'll tell you something. There was a lot more people that got killed in America during when we won the West. We didn't win the West. We took the West. We exterminated 15 million people, and we created eugenics. Hitler wrote in his book that the United States was his example. He used the United States as his example for the extermination of the Jews.
What, in Mein Kampf? Is that his book, Mein Kampf, says that?
No, it wasn't in Mein Kampf. It was an article that he wrote.
Okay.
That came out in like Der Spiegel or something like that.
For all of Hitler's faults and everything, he was quite scholarly.
Well, he was. But so is Cheney. And Karl Rove. But they're evil sons of bitches, man. So is Obama. But you flip the switch, okay? You say Andrew Jackson. Andrew Jackson was scholarly too, but he also said so was Thomas Jefferson. But Jefferson turned his back on the Indians when it came to getting land and acquiring land for the United States. Nothing else mattered to him, And in fact, Abraham Lincoln, who was an attorney for the railroad, signed an executive order that allowed the railroad to move anybody out of their way that was there. Oh, you bet. Yeah. But I think this Fourth Amendment issue and all the other constitutional amendments that have been virtually destroyed by this administration and the previous one, it's almost like he's working in conjunction with the Bush administration, more so than trying to recover any kind of respectability, Sounds good, Michael. All right, Brother Shake. See you next time. Ciao, baby.